Ryzeal is in Master Duel. Hello guys and welcome back to another cold episode. On today's episode we're taking a look at Ryzeal. I'm showing you what I believe to be the better version of the deck with Fiendsmith Ryzeal. And the reason I think that this is the better version of the deck is twofold. One, it doesn't die to the hand traps and other such interactions that would plague just Ryzeal, and two, it gives you an additional set of engine pieces that aren't just more rank 4 options, which means you have an ability to pivot into a different variety, which does end up being fairly useful. So yeah, for the most part, it's fairly similar, but I'm showing the Fiendsmith version here. First and foremost, let's start off with the Ryzeal cards. If you don't know what they do, they're pretty simple. They summon rank 4s. That's pretty much it. All of them just summon rank 4s. It's a whole bunch of rank 4 spam. That's mostly what this deck is aimed to do. And it's pretty dang good at that. So let's quickly go over the card by card and the explanations for the Ryzeal stuff. Starting off with Ice. Ice can summon another guy on normal summon and can special summon itself by discarding a card, or sorry, sending a card from hand or field to the grave, which is fairly solid. Sword Ryzeal can special summon itself if you control a Ryzeal, and has the ability to, on normal or special, add a light pyro type monster, which is either ice or X'd. X'd, which we're playing 2 of, which is currently semi-limited, has the ability to special summon itself by locking you into rank 4s by sending an Xyz from your extra deck to the grave. Notably, you can send something like Aggregator, which would then negate a card. This makes X'd extremely powerful because not only does it do the full combo, because on normal or special, if you control no other face-up monsters except for level or rank 4 monsters, you can add a Fire Thunder monster from your deck to your hand, which happens to be Sword or Node. Both of which are very powerful. But on top of that, it allows you to then use the X as kind of a board breaker because of Aggregator. So you can send Aggregator to the graveyard, forcing the opponent to negate something. If you don't know, Aggregator, when sent to the graveyard, can target a face-up card in the field to negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is fairly solid. So what you can do is you can send send Aggregator with X. X will activate as Chainlink 1 to search, and then Aggregator will be Chainlink 2, which means you chain block yourself, and you have the ability to kind of force an interaction there, which is, again, pretty powerful. If the opponent were to activate something like, I don't know, Desiree doesn't work because you can't target it, but something else along those lines, right? You could, like, negate Cross, which is something, right? So there's a bunch of different things like that that make it pretty powerful. You could also negate Apo with that, or at least force out an Apo negate, which is pretty cool. On top of that, we're also playing 1 node and 1 star. These are basically just additional guys. That's basically all that they do. They special summon themselves from the hand, either by just freely special summoning or by detaching a material. And then on top of that, they have the ability to either set a card with Star Ryzeal, or you can send a card to the graveyard to reborn a guy. This is useful to get Duo off of the field, so you send Duo Drive to the graveyard, and then you special summon another guy, and then you can go into Detonator, and Detonator can attach the Duo Drive. So if you're playing another rank 4 engine, this is one of the things that you can do, is you can go like Duo Drive into a thing, which is pretty solid. As for the rest of the cards, we were just playing 1 apiece of Plugin and Cross. Honestly, I haven't been a fan of Plugin. I haven't felt like I've needed Plugin for 2 reasons. One, most of my games haven't really lasted that long, where I've even had the ability to necessarily set up my field and have it be interacted with, because most people just immediately leave, which is very frustrating. But 2, I genuinely don't think that this is as impactful of a card, all things considered. The reason I'm playing it is because we don't have the Eclipse Twin, so you need something to do alongside the Detonator. So generally what you want to search is, if you already have the extenders, you want to search Cross and Plugin with the Duo Drive so that you can have the reborn of Detonator, and Detonator can reattach a guy. So that is at least something, and it kind of helps you to keep your board a little bit more sticky, which is nice. But for the most part, it just feels bad to play. Obviously, Eclipse Twin would be better, but we don't have that, so alas, we cannot do that. But then, of course, we are also playing Cross, which is very solid, being able to shuffle back cards to draw cards, and then also having the ability to negate at point of resolution, which is crazy powerful. So there's that. As for the rest of the deck, we're playing the Fiendsmith engine, pretty simple. The 2 engraver 3-track. We are playing 3 tracks. This may seem a bit strange, but the simple answer is I actually want to see tracked almost more than engraver to play around Droll, and yeah, playing tracked plays around Droll a bit more, and it gives me more engine, which is very nice. Because right now where I'm playing 21 engine pieces, so that just seems a bit better. Actually, I think it's like technically less than that because these are all not starters, but there you go. So yeah, we're playing the 2 engraver, the 1 Lurry, and the 1 Lacrima. We're also playing at Fiendsmith in Paradise, and the reason for this is because through the combo that that Fiendsmith is wont to do, you can actually just end up with both the Lacrima and the Requiem in Grave, in order to allow you to then send the Paradise as an additional point of interaction, which is pretty solid. The rest of the cards are just hand traps. The 1 Droll for crossout, as well as just a generally good card. We're also playing 1 Nibiru because we're playing 2 Maxi and the 2 Perulia. Perulia happens to be the best Mold Charmy right now. I know people will be like, oh, what about Fualos? Fualos is okay, but specifically Ryzeal can play around it a lot better, where they can't play around Perulia. So I'm playing Perulia. Realistically, you could play either Perulia or Fualos, or you could play both, or you could play Mold Charmy, the other one, Meowls. You could play Meowls, that also works. But for the most part, I feel like Perulia is probably the best. Anyway, we're also playing 3 Ash. I'm still playing Lancia because I fear Malice. That's mostly it. And then I'm also playing 2 Triple Tack. Lots of 2-ofs, but the reason is because matchups. Like, I want to see Perulia against Ryzeal, and I want to see Lancia against Malice, but not vice versa. I don't know. For the most part, I think you could also play, like, additional nibs and stuff like that. And then we're playing the 3 Infip, as well as 2 Called By and a Crossout. And that's it for the main deck. Into the extra deck, we have the 1 Lacrima, the 1 Crimson, or the 1 Necrocrypt Princess. This does come up because it's easier access into Caesar, which is very nice. So you don't have to, like, die to, like, Effect Veiler or something like that. We're also playing the 1 Desiree, and then for the links, we're playing the 1 Requiem, the 1 Sequence, and Apo. Apo is also another thing that you could potentially go into instead of the, like, either Desiree or Wave King, so that's nice. And then the rest are just Xyz. It's pretty simple. 1 Exciton Knight, 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Baguska, 1 Duo Drive, 2 Detonator, 1 Aggregator, and 1 Typhon. And that's it for the deck. Let's hop into the replays and show you how this deck performed. Alright, here we are going first. Let's see what we can accomplish. This is like a pretty decent hand, except for that it doesn't necessarily play through like Maxi or Fualos, or just kidding, it didn't matter. I activated 1 card and my opponent decided to leave. I hate diamond players so much, dude. Alright, now what happens if we go second? Let's see what we can actually accomplish here. We have a very good going second hand. We drew X, we drew Perulia, as well as Infip. I'm feeling pretty good here. My opponent's going to reveal that they are on 6 Sam and playing a normal monster, which is something. Anyway, they also opened 2 Gateway, which is very, very funny. They're going to go for the Xian here, and I am going to promptly negate that because it is a monster negate rather than a spell trap negate. They're also going to search out a quick play spell. Now, they do have the ability to search more guys, but that would just play more into the Perulia, so I think they elected to not do that and just see if I had the out. I drew Imperm. But it didn't matter, I had X'd as well. So we're going to normal summon the ice, and my opponent just concedes at that point. Yeah. 6 Samurai is great, isn't it? Alright, here we are, once again, going first, and I lied to you, sorry, we're going second. I did draw the Maxi. Happens. Anyway, my opponent is going to go into the Nightmare Apprentice, which I don't elect to Maxi here, because why would I? My opponent's going to then go into Coatl. Coatl is going to search out the Gazelle, King of the Mythical Claws. This is also, I've seen multiple people playing this deck. Why? What is the purpose of playing Chimera right now? I feel like Chimera is terrible right now. Am I wrong? Anyway, beside the point, they're going to go into the this guy, and here's the Roach, so they just pass. Understandable, to be fair. Now, granted, I literally only have Fiendsmith here, so let's see what we can accomplish with Fiendsmith. So we're going to search out the Lacrima, since we already drew the Lurry, because my hands have just been goated today. My opponent is going to go for the Maxi. I'm going to go for the Ash Blossom here, and we're going to summon out the Lurry. Lurry effect is going to go, or sorry, Lurry is going to be linked off into Requiem. Requiem effect is going to go into the Engraver, and Engraver is going to activate its effects to send away the guy. I just wanted to get the guy off the field. We then normal summon the Lacrima in order to go into, or in order to send the Paradise to the graveyard. And now I'm going to actually fuse here, and the reason for this is because we can use Engraver later in order to bring itself back, which means even if they were to have like Imperm or something else along those lines, with the Lacrima, we can just reborn a guy, threaten a whole bunch of damage, and more specifically, we have the ability to use the Lacrima as a way to get into sequence, to go into Desiree, or we could use the Lacrima here to go into something else if like they do end up negating the Lacrima effect. So that is my general thought here, is that this kind of like forces out at least an Imperm. If they had 2 Imperms, there's not really anything on that I could do about that, but it didn't seem like they did. So good game, I guess. Nice Ryzeal deck. Alright, here we are, going second. Once again, we drew the Maxi. You hate to see it. There's not a lot that I can do about that. We did draw it. My opponent's going to start off here with the 7th Tachyon, and they are going to reveal that they're also on Ryzeal. Sick. I'm going to drop the Maxi here. They're going to triple attack me, take away my sword, hip hip hooray, pass the turn. I'm almost 1000% certain they have a hand trap with which to stop the sword Ryzeal, and out comes the Fool loss. Understandable. We're going to start off here with Engraver, since we ended up drawing it, which is very funny, by the way. So we're going to go Tract here and grab up the Lurie. Now, this is actually worse into the Fool loss, which is something. But alas, we're still going to special summon out the Lurie, and then I'm just going to grab Ice here and go to combat. I'm just going to give them the 1 draw off of the Fool loss to go into the Requiem. And now Requiem with the 2 Imperms. I know that they have X'd in hand, but X doesn't really do anything at this point. Like, yes, it's an extender, but like I do have 2 Imperms. If they go into anything, I can like Imperm the X'd, and then I could Imperm like a Duo Drive or an Ice or something else along those lines. But most importantly, we have the Requiem here, which means we can go Requiem into what's her bucket? Lacrima, in order to then send the Paradise. So from there we can then deal with like a Duo Drive or something else along those lines. So pretty solid overall, and my opponent, I believe, sees the writing on the wall and concedes. We also have Ice's follow-up, so what a great set of games. Alright, we're back with the deck, and honestly, this deck is fairly strong. I think we all knew this, right? I think it's the best deck in the game. I think that it is going to be the best deck in the game. Now, granted, with that being said, I don't necessarily think that the Fiendsmith stuff is specifically the only version that's going to be the best in the game. I think Ryzeal has a few other... It has basically one other way. You could play it more as like a pure variant with a lot more search spells and stuff like that. But the problem with that, for me, is that it loses a lot more often to Droll. And Droll is already a fairly strong card right now due to the fact that you can use it in a lot of decks to out things like Maxi or to like play under Maxi, which is very nice. So that's why I think that the Fiendsmith stuff is a little bit better. But overall, I still think that this deck is very strong and has a lot of oomph to it. So yeah, Oh, sorry. The last thing I wanted to say is that I messed this up a ton early because the Fiendsmith stuff and the Ryzeal stuff doesn't actually synergize all that well. Generally, I like to start with the Fiendsmith stuff, but I think realistically what you should do is actually start with the Ryzeal stuff, and then if that ends up getting some sort of interaction from the opponent, you then pivot into the Fiendsmith stuff, which I think is a little bit better because then you still end on the Fiendsmith stuff if you do end up getting like hand-trapped a couple of times. Or more specifically, like if you get hand-trapped on like big important cards like your Ice with no other follow-up, or something like a Duo Drive or something else along those lines. That being said, it always feels bad to like have the Fiendsmith stuff in your hand and just be like, well, I guess I'm not going to use this. Which is why I feel like you want to start with the Fiendsmith stuff. That being said, I also did end up having a game where I summoned Apo using the Fiendsmith stuff, and then like had 3 of the names in hand. So I was just like, cool, I'll just like summon out a bunch of guys and then just do like Duo Drive under Apo, which is also kind of crazy. So that's another thing that you can do. All in all, very strong, very powerful, very fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to playing at least more Ryzeal. So there's that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you guys did indeed enjoy it. If you did, I like us very much, so appreciate it. And remember to always stay frosty. Bye-bye.